Recorded live from the unfinished loft project of Des's home just outside Brighton in Sussex, welcome to the 200 to £100,000 Challenge podcast. This is your no thrills, no BS, and absolutely no get-rich-quick or passive income promises hub. Hosted by your man, Des Hamilton.
Hello everybody, and a warm welcome to every one of you out there in pursuit of your transformation and triumph. I'm Des Hamilton, and you're listening to the 200 to £100,000 Challenge podcast. Here is where we unfold the raw, real journey of turning that £200 I snaggled from the joint account back in October 2022 into a life-changing £100,000. And not just that, building this e-commerce empire that'll be the ticket to the fabled financial freedom for my wife and I. I've been on this journey now for about 14 months coming up to, and we are well on track, and I've somehow brought you along for the journey, and everybody's engaged, and we have got a community nearly 80,000 strong, all willing to muck in and help each other. It's a beautiful thing. This week's show is coming the day after the autumn statement that Jeremy Hunt, our pal Jez, is announcing pretty much right now as I record this. I did a post on TikTok and Instagram yesterday saying how please just ignore the smoke and mirrors. Nobody's coming. There's nothing that they're going to say that can help us. Oh, we'll raise the living wage. That's not you raising the living wage, mate. That's you forcing companies that you've been bleeding dry to dig a bit deeper into their pockets to pay their own staff. Come on, we all know what this is. Don't fool us. Oh, what we're going to do is we're going to take some out of the state pension. Are you? But you're going to tax us on the way. Don't be fooled into thinking any of this affects your day-to-day, because it doesn't. And all of the smoke and mirrors we see from the press, from the media, from the politicians, from the people that we should be putting our trust in, doesn't mean a thing. It's on us. So this is where this podcast can hopefully help you and inspire you to say, yes, there is light at the end of the tunnel. But it won't come in 6 weeks. It won't come in 6 months. It might come in 2 years. And what you'll be doing before you get there is undergoing this transformation where you will become a different person. From a personal point of view, I feel myself becoming a better person. But what it will do is give you the control. The old Brexit take back control. Nothing has been more true than getting out of being a cog in the wheel, earning your own money, and gaining the financial freedom that you are entirely responsible for yourself. That is taking control. And I'm only realising this as I'm on my journey myself. Anyway, let's not go down that road. I had a whinge last week already. So last week we finished up the Natalie interviews, and we have got some great interviews lined up, but it just so happens I've got a spare week this week. So why not interview myself? The last Ask Me Anything session we did a couple of months ago, that was a great success, and we got some really good questions, and it was quite insightful, almost as a therapy session for myself. So why not do that again, and let's see if I can sleep tonight. I asked the Facebook group last week, and if you don't know what the Facebook group is, by the way, and you found this podcast via other means, we have built a Facebook group that is now 7,000 strong. We've done that in 11 months, and it's not just the people in there, it's also what that community represents. It represents a positive outlook on these things. It represents the nice side of social media. And here's an example of why it's so nice. Big players have taken notice, and they've jumped in for the ride as well. So don't just think it's newbies or people like me that with a little bit of experience that are trying to tell you which avenue to go down. That's not the case. What if I told you we've got the CEO from SellerAmp in there? What if I told you we've got the CEO from Buybot Pro in there? The CEO from Arborsource, a very, very big player in Helium 10. The CEO and one of the founding, actually no, all three founding members of the Hive. We have got very, very big sellers. Fast Track FBA, Tom Parkinson's in there. We've got a lot of very good people in there that all chip in and help you become a better seller through their experience and their varied stories. Because what I've learned doing this over the last few months is that not one story is the same. The only thing that we've all got in common is that we took some money and we gambled with it and threw it into this Amazon machine, and we saw what came out the back of it with nothing more than determination, resilience, and the willingness to act. Anyway, let's get back into the show. So I put out to the Facebook group, I'm going to do an Ask Me Anything session. Let's see your questions. We have got dozens of questions. So let's not beat about the bush. Whatever that means, let's get into it. Now, I want to start off with this question. It wasn't technically part of my plea for questions. This was something else that came up on the Facebook group, but I think it's worth sharing when we go on here. So this one's from Adam. I'm thinking of joining a Discord group. What's everyone's thoughts on them? Well, ignore the everyone bit. What's Dez's thoughts on them? Because it's my podcast and I'm telling you to ask me things. So, what do I think of a Discord group? Right, short answer is I think Discord groups can be fantastic. Look, I was a news seller myself a year ago. I still consider myself a news seller, but I was a real, what they would call a green news seller a year ago. I didn't know what Discord was. My introduction to the world of Discord was Amazon selling groups. It was an eye-opener. I'm 43, and I'm willing to bet most 43-year-olds don't know what a Discord group is. I found one of the more popular ones, and I joined it because I had a discount code, something like 75% off. There are three types of Discord groups. One, where you pay monthly to stay part of it. Another, where you pay a one-off fee and you're in for life. Or a third, where you don't pay anything. Now, I ended up joining all three of these types. I've joined a monthly subscription one, and in this monthly subscription one, you had a leads channel. And in it, you open it up, and it tells you every single store where there are potential leads. Mostly generated from bots, but also they ask their members to feed into these as well. But with every lead I found, the price tanked within about 3 weeks. That was a shame. So I left that after a month or so and didn't go back. And I wish them nothing but the best because they do really, really well. And I know some people have got some massive success from them. So fair play. They're good lads as well. The other one where I joined for a one-off fee, I'm still part of that because the community is great. Now, there is much more of a community spirit in there. That started with a leads channel in it. But that got put to bed fairly soon for the exact same reason. And then it's one of those, do I want to continue working on that leads channel or do I just want to support through education and community? Because it's education and community that is vital here. By all means, join a Discord group, but don't join it for leads. Don't join it off the back of, come and join our Discord group and we'll give you some leads. That's not what a Discord group should be about. It should be about the community, the people that are in the same boat as you, the people that you can bounce off and glean knowledge from, the exact same community that my Facebook group offers for free with no strings attached. Discord groups do the same thing. It's just where you want to base that community. Now, the ones that you can join for free, they're fantastic because it gives you all of that for free. So they're my thoughts on the Discord group. I think we'll move on from there. Okay, from John, why do people keep bricking? I'm losing money here. Now, what John means there is tanking, price tankers. Let's talk about price tankers. So one of the biggest pitfalls of online arbitrage are the tankers. They will dishearten you. They will make you question the world. And it's one of the reasons why it would make you quit, particularly that model. And as with anything, the negative thoughts of a particular model, they outweigh the positive thoughts. Let's not get too deep here, but when you talk about positivity, you tend to talk about actions and you tend to talk about an intrinsic feeling. When you talk about negativity, it tends to be noise. You notice this? Negativity always seems to be louder than positivity because positivity is almost a silent resilience. Anyone that speaks too openly about positivity, you start thinking, that's a bit overkill. Right. So when it comes to tanking, it is, in my opinion, 99% of the uneducated. And when I say the uneducated, not that they are entirely without learning, it's that they've been taught wrong or they haven't been taught at all. Now, I happen to know there is a very, very, very popular course out there that teaches you Amazon selling. And the pricing strategy is when you're up against FBAers, you drop a penny under. Now, that doesn't do anyone any favours. That doesn't do anyone any favours. If you're that person who's dropping a penny under and you've been instructed to do that and you go bop, 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 that's your profit gone, eaten away, off a cliff, and you see it in those keeper charts. Now, if you're a person that's trying to compete with those, you either get so competitive, you want to win that listing, and all of a sudden you're selling at a loss and you don't know what's happened because you just kept on dropping. Or you're one of the people that are going to go, no, I'm going to hold my price. We can all share the buy box because there's nothing better than seeing a listing where there's 10 people on there and all of you got the same price. That's so lovely. And it only takes one rotten egg to ruin the lot. That is why people brick. There is a thought process out there that massive sellers that are really rich, what they do is they force the price low to get you off the listing and then they can bump the listing up. I haven't seen that so much. I've only ever seen the uneducated. All I can say is when you're doing online arbitrage, especially if you're getting leads, whether that's from a VA, a Discord group, or a software, you need to be prepared that if you find it, so will lots of other people. And then you're jeopardizing that pricing strategy to the unknown. That's all fine if you know what you're getting into and keeping your eyes open, because you should be finding things that sell enough that you can still get it out in 6 months' time. Now, that's not always going to be the case because you can't guarantee that someone's going to buy 1,000 units and tank the price. You can't guarantee that someone's going to find 1,000 units and then tank the price, but it needs to be calculated risks. An awful lot of my stock at the moment has been in for about 4 months because I refuse to play that game. It kills your cash flow, especially as you're a new starter. But it is something you need to be aware of, and it is an awfully big reason why people tend to quit online arbitrage. Now, when we talk about online arbitrage, I think this is important to say as well. Online arbitrage has its place, especially when you're in the UK. There are ways you can do online arbitrage which will take your starting money and escalate it quite significantly. That's exactly what's happened to me. But there is a ceiling without going into other markets. So you may want to go into American markets. You may want to go into Europe. That will keep your online arbitrage journey going. You'll still get tankers in this world, but you'll be dealing with much bigger markets because the UK market, even though it's one of the top 5 in Amazon, it's still fairly small compared to the US, for example. Online arbitrage in your own country will have a ceiling. So there will be a point in your journey where you think to yourself, I'm ready for more. And this is that crossroads that I often talk about. I'm at this crossroads. Can I just sit tight and bring in 300, 500, £1,000 every month doing online arbitrage? Because yes, you can. Or do I stop being a person that jumps on listings and flip myself into being a person that creates listings? Because that is the growth. And that is how you go from that crossroads spot to move on, scale up and grow beyond belief. Now, that's not to say that you can't do both. But I think what we've done here in asking this question about the price tankers is open up the whole gambit on what online arbitrage is, what it can do, and where it can stutter. From Gracie, can I really start with just £200 without topping until I get my first profit? Yes, is the short answer, because that's exactly what I did. I took £200 and I didn't top it up. Now, you need to be aware of the problem when you're starting with £200. And if you go back to my earlier posts, it was a saying I had, and I repeated it, most of them. You are going to be working your hardest and your longest for the littlest amount of money. Your cash flow is savage. Let's take £200 and put it into an Amazon journey, right? £200. Let's say you've exhausted your free trials and you're paying a monthly subscription for one of the apps, one of the big apps, Seller App or Buybot Pro, and you're paying for Keeper, and you're paying for the professional Amazon account. You're talking 60 to 80 quid. So you've got 120 to spend into stock. Now, let's say you put that £100 into stock. You would need to calculate for about 3 months before you get your money back on that £100. Now, what I did for my challenge is I knew that was going to be a problem. Because if you remember, I started with 100 And then I realised, nope, my cash flow was too low for that. I'm going to need to throw another 100 in it. And even then, I was taking money out of my account to top up to stop the cash flow gaps. But be assured, when that money did come in from Amazon, I paid myself back. So those numbers that I did were exactly what the numbers were. But in order to stop the cash flow stuttering, I did have to borrow some money from my own account to stop my cash flow from breaking. So that's not to say you can't do it. You can do it. You certainly can, but it will take you longer and it will take more resilience. You see what I'm saying there? If you can throw in another couple of strings to your bow, like affiliate marketing, like community building, then you do get more money from other places as well. In a previous podcast, you mentioned an exit strategy for work. How close are you to that, and how important do you feel it is having that process in place for people considering it in the future? Dean, what a question. I'm more than happy to talk about this. I don't think I talk about this enough. And I think it scares my parents as well, because they know that I want to quit my work. And I've been saving for a pension for the best part of what are we now? 25 years? It's not easily done. It's not easily done. And the concept of quitting your 9 till 5, quitting your job, Dean, I know what you do for a living, mate. You do something that is very different to a 9 till 5. I did it for 2 years myself. One of the best jobs I've ever had. Dean works on planes, by the way. So my exit strategy for work. When I first got started with this, if you'll indulge me for a second, and we go back to September, October last year, we didn't know that Claire was pregnant. We didn't know that little Olivia was on her way. So what we did was talk about the numbers and talk about what was going ahead, with a view to quit my job by the end of the 2-year challenge. That was the point with that. We found out about Olivia roughly, it was the day that Glastonbury tickets went on sale, so it was middle of November. At that point, we calculated that Claire's money would start going down roughly after Christmas 2023. This is the thing. And then at the end of May, she would be going back to work, having almost been on statutory for a few months. So we needed to think about our bills. So it kind of focused our mind a little bit and went, right, okay, let's put some stages in place for this exit strategy. We're starting in late 2022. We need to do it in a way where Claire can have the opportunity not to go back to work after her maternity. I don't want to be one of those guys that says, you can stop work. I mean, it's the patriarchy, for God's sake. Let's do it properly. So I want to have the opportunity to say to Claire, you can choose whether you want to work or not. That makes me much nicer, doesn't it? It just so happens Claire doesn't want to work anymore. So what we would ideally like to do is be in a place by May that Claire doesn't have to go to work. We are on track, quite heavily on track. Then in regards to me, looking for me to leave by the end of 2024. Now that's not just a blanket, I'm going to quit my job. One of the benefits I have of having my job is that I would likely slowly reduce my hours. Quitting your 9 to 5, I'm learning, is scary. When I first started this, I had a post in my drafts, and I'm really glad I didn't share it, where I wrote my resignation letter, and I couldn't stop laughing because the concept of it was so lovely and the dream was so lovely. But as we're getting closer, and I've been in the PAYE structure for decades now, am I ready to be entirely responsible for my money? And when I say my money, I mean the family's. I think I need to be in a place, honestly, where I can triple our income just to be sure. Because it's not just income, is it? It's comfort, that I can break my leg and still get paid, that I could have a quieter month in terms of how much I do on my day job and still get paid, that I can get paid for going on holiday, that I've got a pension pot bubbling away. It's not just enough to say I'm going to quit my job and go and do what I want to do. On top of that, it will be the biggest shift in my day-to-day routine that I could ever have. Because I've been working for as long as... I've been working since I was 15. And even before that, I had a paper round. So there's an awful lot to consider before I quit, and it will be a gradual wind down. And I think this is important as well, to have a process in place, because when you're goal setting, you're not just goal setting about what numbers you can bring in. You need to have a goal set in place about what these numbers can represent. Because it's not just enough to say, right, at the moment, currently, for the last 2 months, and certainly going to be for this month as well, we're bringing in more money than Claire and I earn combined. But it's still not enough to quit our job yet. We're still not drawing any out either, by the way. When we get X amount of money, we want to finish the loft. It's not a lie when we say this is coming from a place of Des's unfinished loft project. We want to have this kitchen decked out. We want to pay back an awful lot of debt. We want to go on a big holiday. We want to do all of these things with this money, and that's before we quit jobs, you know? So I think when you set your goals out, be realistic about what things you would want to do along the way with the nice things that you've earned. And leaving your job should be one of the last things you do. That's how we're going to approach it. So I might not leave by the end of 2024. And it just so happens as well, I do want to say this out loud, I like my job. I think it's really good. I've got a great team. They're really flexible. I like what I do, and I like the people that I work with and the things that I have to do. It's not a horrible thing, you know. From Sam, did Claire enjoy our long-awaited date night? Yes, we did. But my God, we were still home at 10 and asleep by about 15:15. We're getting old, man. With kids as young as ours, it was a case of, right, get the babysitters in for 2. We'll go drinking at 3:30. We'll book the meal at 5:30, and we'll see if we can have a drink afterwards. Well, we struggled. Worth it, though. Bring on the next one. I'll tell you what was really nice. Because Claire and I are directors of our company, we put it out on expenses. That was really nice. Knowing that we could have a night out and it not affect our personal money, because our personal money is gone. It's terrible. We haven't got any personal money. But I know we can't do this. It's an annual thing. It's a Christmas thing. You know what I mean? But it was a lovely thing to do. Let's find one that isn't Amazon. Here we go, from Chris. You've not been shy in saying people should always think about diversifying their portfolios. Are there specific income sources you'd like to pursue in the future that currently rely on timing? And how do you determine the right moment to explore new opportunities? That's a great question. So, yes, there are specific income sources I'd like to pursue in the future. If we talk about what I am currently offering, I think there is so much growth opportunity there to expand. And I'm conscious of my shortfalls, you know. I get enough grief as it is for selling a course. You've only been selling on Amazon for a year. How dare you sell a course? I'm a qualified trainer. I train people for a living. Why not train people in the very thing that I do? A year's experience is more than enough. You can go to any place that does training in the public sector, and the chances are they haven't been doing it that long before they implemented the training. So I've got no problems in doing that because I'm a good trainer. And you can see the reviews that I've been getting on the course anyway. Now, there is an awful lot I can do to expand that realm. You've seen other people that offer courses and how they expand it, and I'd love nothing different. Now, I do truly believe that you need to start on online and retail arbitrage. I really do. But if you are ready for wholesale, I'd love to be able to offer that as another course. And I think I'm very close to being able to do it. I'd also like to do the same for private label, but I am a mile away from being able to do that. I'd also like to be able to do more in the public speaking space, because what I definitely know is that multiple income streams will be much better than one, and we can train Amazon FBA, no problems at all. But I'd like to be able to train general public speaking, general confidence in front of a camera, and content building and social media growth. I would love to be able to do that because I think I've got something to offer there. Again, no, I think I would need to have a bigger channel in order to do that, because still, I'm talking to you right now with 70,000. That isn't a big enough following yet to have the kudos I need to start telling people how to build a following. Away from these things that I'm already currently doing, I'm of a generation, mate, where everyone tells you if you want to invest, you've got to invest in property. I'm also in the dark about various other investing models, and I would like to explore those. And I really think that this podcast has got legs. And eventually, I know that I'm talking to Amazon sellers mostly here. Eventually, I will branch out and talk about other e-commerce streams, other business streams, and other entrepreneurs of different worlds, so we can offer diversification in the things that we promote here as well. When it comes to determining the right amount to explore them as well, it's just having confidence in yourself to be able to share them. And having the humility as well, when you hear about people selling courses that don't sell on Amazon, they drive me mad. They do drive me mad because there's too many nuances in selling on Amazon, and there's too many changes that happen too sporadically for you not to be able to be in the game and train it effectively. So you need to have the humility to say, one, do I know it well enough? Two, have I got enough about me to start offering this out with enough gravitas, And let's finish it off with Jamie's. What has been the most rewarding thing since you started? What a great question. What a great question. The most rewarding thing since I started is finding the purpose within myself. Because you can do that as much as you like from a cold opening as a blank piece of paper. You can sit there in a quiet room having done nothing and think, what is it I want to do? And you might have an idea of what it is, but it's only once you get started in something and seeing which way the universe, God, the frequency out there, which way you end up walking. I'd never, ever, ever, ever thought that I would be doing a podcast a year into my journey. Never. You go back over all my previous posts, I never talk about it. In my head, I was going to be an Amazon seller and a YouTuber and a Facebook community person with affiliate marketing. It was in helping people. It was in the messages that I was getting from people when the group was small enough, when people could talk to me, a bit like the Old Testament, where there weren't that many humans around, so God would turn up from time to time. Sorry, it's shocking. And I'm certainly not equating myself to God here. But when the community was small, I had much more time to offer to people. Now the community's got so much bigger, and we've got wonderful people like Steve on board, and my Claire helps with the admin as well for the Facebook group. What's so great is that I'm able to still talk to you through this platform. That's really nice. And what I found is that this is something I really enjoy. I really enjoy it. It's just something, this is episode 17, and I've never missed a deadline. Every Thursday. It's always there because I love it and I prioritise it more than most. And we're going to talk about this because we're going to run this Ask Me Anything over 2 weeks because we've got so many questions and I don't want to run for an hour. But when we talk about what challenges have I had, it's all about prioritisation. But you find yourself prioritising the things you enjoy. Of course, I enjoyed this. I would love nothing more than to make a real good podcast and be the guy who has the Amazon selling digital e-commerce podcast that isn't Steve Bartlett. That's what I want to do. Nothing wrong with Steve Bartlett. I'm just not him. I think we'll end it on there. That's a great one. Thanks a lot for the questions. Roll on next week and we'll do a few more. Let's go with the tip of the week.
Tip of the week.
When I talk about taking action, I don't just mean take action and learn how to do Amazon. I mean take action to find out what it is you actually want to do and then take the steps in what it is you want to do to get there. Now, when you do your Amazon business, you learn so much about yourself. You don't just learn about the processes and the systems and your propensity to gamble and your risk analysis. You don't just learn about that. You learn about your networking style, who you want to engage with, who you don't, where your energy lies, where it doesn't. At that point, when you find yourself becoming a business owner rather than a side hustler, start thinking, what is it I want to do? And you might well surprise yourself. I surprised myself when I realised I really wanted to help others. And that wasn't from I'm selling a course perspective. I genuinely want to help others. And I'm hoping that through the Facebook group and through people that I've spoken with, you'll understand now that that's not a line. We believe, Steve and I, that our course provides the best value. And if we ask you to spend a little bit more than we're actually comfortable with, we go out of our way to make sure you can earn it back. That will never change. So when you are going through this phase and you've been in your business for 5-6 months, ask yourself, what is it you want to do? Do you just want to carry on with Amazon? Or do you want to throw your eggs somewhere else and diversify something to see if you can bring in another income stream, doing something you really love, because all of a sudden you've got the time and you've got the foresight to know that when I have got more time and financial freedom, I can throw myself into a passion project that I would really love. I thoroughly recommend that. Okay, that will do it this week, everybody. We'll just do half hour on that. We'll do another half hour next week on Ask Me Anything as well. And then we have got some banging guests lined up for the rest of the year and well into 2024. 2024, and I say this now, mark this down, it is the 23rd of November 2023. I am telling you, 2024 will be the best year of my life. And let's see if you can't turn your life around in 2024 as well. Come on, I'll see you at the finish line. Mahi-mahi, lobsters, martinis, espressos, other fancy drinks, and maybe even a cigar. Let's bring in the music. Let's bring Robin in. Let's sign out. I'll see you next week. We'll go over a few more questions, and who knows, by then, we'll know what my results are by the end of the month as well. That will do. Take care, everybody. Have a good week.
Be sure to join us next time for another dose of inspiration and insights into e-commerce and entrepreneurship. And who knows, by then, Des may well have finished that love project. And always remember, it's time to say goodbye, Paul. Hello, Rich. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice. We know times are tough right now, and if you are struggling financially, please seek help from an appropriate organisation. We've included a link to the Citizens Advice Bureau in the show notes. Remember, you should always consult with a qualified professional before making any significant financial decisions.